All right, welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're diving into an absolutely crucial reality check for corporate executives regarding all this massive hype around AGI, and more importantly, its actual impact on the enterprise. We're going to ask the tough questions. Are we really on the precipice of an artificial general intelligence revolution that's going to infinitely scale our productivity? Or are we just buying into a massive illusion that's actually going to cause a severe corporate regression? Today we're separating the billionaire narratives from the hard, verifiable data. Let's get into it. Okay, let's run through the agenda real quick. We're covering the 18-month AGI countdown, the job cuts in SaaS panic, the great productivity illusion, the almost right AI tax, and we'll wrap up with balancing hype and stability.
Section 1. The 18-month AGI countdown. The billionaire chorus predicts the future.
So tech leaders are pushing a seriously aggressive timeline right now, and it is putting immense pressure on the C-suite. Just look at this stark warning from Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman. He's putting every single white-collar role on immediate notice. Lawyers, accountants, project managers, coders, you name it. He's claiming that compute power is going exponential so incredibly fast that spinning up a super intelligent AI is soon going to be as easy as starting a blog. I mean, just imagine the pressure a statement like that puts on enterprise leaders who feel like they have to adapt yesterday.
And you know, Suleiman definitely isn't singing solo here. There's a whole billionaire chorus actively setting these blistering expectations for corporate transformation. You've got Anthropic's Dario Amodei predicting that half of all entry-level jobs are basically dusted by May 2025. And then Elon Musk is betting AGI will outright beat humans by 2026. The hype machine is literally running red hot right now.
Moving on to Section 2. Job cuts and SaaS panic, the macro-level reaction. So how is this super aggressive narrative actually bleeding into market reality? Well, 49,000. That's a massive number. It represents the white-collar jobs that have already been slashed across the market, according to tracking by Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. And here is the real kicker. This incredible carnage in the job market is being blamed entirely on AI restructuring. Companies are basically bracing for impact and cutting first. This panic is spreading like wildfire. Microsoft just gutted 15,000 roles to, quote, reimagine the mission, while Ford CEO Jim Farley is actually calling for a 50% reduction in U.S. white-collar work. And it's not even just the jobs. Wall Street is actively tanking software stocks over fears that autonomous AI agents are going to completely murder enterprise SaaS companies. Investors are literally calling this a SaaS apocalypse. So here is the absolute crux of the issue. You have this stark contrast playing out. On one side, we have tech leaders promising utopian growth and infinite productivity. And on the other, the enterprise market is reacting with absolute chaos, tanking stocks and massive preemptive layoffs. It's a brutal tug of war. But we have to ask ourselves, what happens when we look at the actual data instead of just the fear? Let's look at Section 3. The Great Productivity Illusion, the mid-2025 MER study bombshell. Okay, let's step away from the wild projections for a second and look at empirical data. This mid-2025 bombshell study from the nonprofit MER finally lets us see what's happening on the actual battlefield instead of just listening to the hype. They took 16 highly experienced open-source developers and basically handed them the keys to the sports car, Cursor Pro and Claude 3.5. We are talking about the trillion-dollar dream tools of the modern enterprise. Now, this data reveals a total whiplash. Before the test even started, developers predicted AI would boost their speed by about 24%. And after the test, they still felt like they were moving 24% faster. But wait for it. Their actual measured output dropped by a staggering 19%. Let that sink in. The AI didn't make them faster, it literally made them 19% slower. This perfectly illustrates what we call a dangerous 40-point cognitive illusion. You see, because the AI is doing the typing, the developer's job essentially shifts to something that feels a lot like reviewing someone else's homework. It feels incredibly easy, which completely tricks the human brain into thinking it's being highly productive. And that feeling masks a severe, highly damaging drop in actual completed output. Which brings us to Section 4, the almost right AI tax, why AI chokes in the enterprise. So why on earth does this massive 19% productivity drop happen out in the real world? Well, you have to understand a concept every executive must memorize, the almost right tax. AI is unbelievably good at spitting out polished, perfect-looking work. But underneath that shiny surface, it hides these really subtle, nasty logic errors. And finding those deeply buried bugs actually takes way longer than if your veteran employees had just done the work from scratch in the first place. This massive debugging debt completely erases any initial time you saved. Look, These trillion-dollar tools are fantastic if you're on a blank canvas. Building a simple app from scratch, they fly. But the moment you throw them into a massive, complex, 1 million line enterprise codebase, they completely choke. The AI fundamentally lacks the implicit, undocumented gut instinct of a veteran coder who intrinsically knows how all your proprietary legacy systems interact.
And this friction, it creates a really dangerous new workflow. You prompt the AI, you wait, you review a bunch of garbage suggestions, and then you have to spend hours fixing the regressions the AI just introduced into your system. The time your highly paid team saves on typing is entirely burned on this ridiculous babysitting overhead. You are basically replacing high-level problem-solving with the tedious, frustrating, managerial oversight of a machine. Finally, let's hit Section 5, balancing hype and stability, the data-driven path forward.
So, how do you actually navigate this? How do you survive this brutal tug-of-war between valley narratives and hard science? We absolutely have to separate reactive, panic-driven moves from stable, data-driven strategies. If you execute preemptive layoffs just based on the hype, you're going to lose that crucial veteran instinct and you're going to face critical enterprise failure. If you just survey your employees on how fast they feel, you fall right into that 40-point perception gap. True stability requires measuring actual output, tracking regressions, and mathematically anticipating that almost right tax in your timelines. And look, this isn't just one isolated open source study saying this. The hard science, backed by much broader enterprise reports from organizations like Thomson Reuters, proves that in complex, high-stakes roles, AI is not some sort of god. It is an unreliable assistant. It creates busy work, and it actively slows you down. Replacing seasoned professionals with these unproven generative tools isn't a shortcut to the future. Honestly, right now, it's just a recipe for enterprise gridlock. So, what's the big takeaway for you today? Honestly, keep your eyes open. As an executive, your primary responsibility right now is to filter out the noise of billionaires who are just talking up their own books. Those 18-month countdowns, they're designed to justify massive valuations and satisfy vested interests. You have to tune that out and focus entirely on the verifiable, micro-level data right inside your own company's walls. Ultimately, it comes down to the most critical question you literally have to ask yourself right now. Before making your next organizational move, before slashing your headcount, and definitely before betting the farm on autonomous agents, ask yourself, are you actually restructuring for an AGI revolution? Or are you just buying 18 months of expensive busy work? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and remember, stay focused on the data.